Hey, what's up, guys? It's TJ with Solo Hunt Fish, and today we're going to kind of change it up here, taking a little break from the hunting, the fishing, and stuff like that. But let's go into what I call the sweatshop from Sweatshop Baits, what I call the Sweatshop Workshop, where I do a lot of my stuff. With the history of Sweatshop Baits, you know, we spray our own baits, mold a lot of stuff, build our own baits, and things like that. So today I'm going to do a little bit of that. I got my Lee lead pot cooking right now. Probably about 10 pounds of lead in there. And I realized I'm running low on some jigs. So today we're going to be pouring some jigs. I'm thinking I'll go through my mold box and see what hooks I have left and what molds I need to pour for some jig heads. I do know this. It is winter. It's cold. And spring is around the corner, and one of the biggest things I like to throw is a Ned Rig. So I'm gonna go get my Midwest head, which is a Ned Rig style head, and start pouring some of those. And so while we're getting this cooking, I'm gonna get ready. This is TJ Solo Hunt Fish. We're taking a break from fishing and hunting and actually making some stuff right now. So stick with me, guys. Appreciate it. Alright, guys, so I'm going to go through my molds here. I got them in a little Tupperware looking Rubbermaid thing, and I keep all my molds together. I don't have very many, but I mean I have basically what I need. And so first thing I see is my pack of Ned Rig hooks, and right now I'm throwing a Mustad Ultra Point for Ned Rigs. You know, there are some really good jig hooks out there, but one thing that you'll see in my arsenal is a lot of Mustads. One thing about jigs is if you're not snagging, you're not catching, so you lose a lot. So I don't go with the cheapest bronze crappy hook, but I don't go with the highest owner Gamakatsu hook. And Mustads have never failed me. Now, the ones I'm using for Ned Rigs are light wire, thin wire hooks, but that just goes with the 4, 5, and 6 pound test anyway. So you're not jacking them like you are in the Delta. But then again, I can go through some of my other hooks that are Mustad Ultra Point still, like for my punching jigs, and they're just very stout, heavy wire, heavy gauge stuff too. So, fan of Mustad. Not that it's a shameless plug or anything like that, but that's just kind of what I use. Just want to let you guys know. So when we're going in through my box here, as I mentioned, see, certain Gamakatsu. So it just depends on what I'm throwing. Yeah, more Gamakatsus. All right, so I'm looking for Ned Rig, Ocean swim bait. Nope, don't need that one. Swim jig, underspin. That actually might work. I bet you might need to pour some of those. Midwest Jig, which is a Ned Rig. So I got that. Put that off to the side. No. So this is my Midwest Jig head, which is also basically a Ned Rig. And if you can kind of see there, kind of runs, you know, small to big, and quarter ounce is the heaviest, down to 1/16. And my two favorites are basically the 1/8, and in this particular jig, 1/8 and 3/32. I don't really throw much of the lighter stuff, and I don't really throw much of the heavier stuff, but one of my favorite molds. Now most Ned Rigs are a size 2 or a size 1 hook, and I actually upgrade or go a little bit bigger to a 1/0. I don't see any performance issues or anything like that. The only thing I will say is, you know, once you get a smaller fish to eat it, and they do choke that Ned Rig down, it's a lot obviously harder to unhook a 1/0. It's, I mean, really big. And so, but I do know this, when I hook those bigger spots and largemouth with the bigger lips, this 1/0 really wraps around it, and you kind of keep them pegged. So 1/0 is what I use. So what I like to do is, when I melt my lead, all of the impurities go to the top. And so what I'm doing right now is just getting all of the impurities, all the tin and the dirt, all that crap off the top, because we want clean lead. Alright, now we got clean lead. Clean lead, hooks in the jig. I'm going to go 3 at a time, 3 different sizes, small to biggest. So I just dropped the hook, but I had a little boo-boo because the oversplash from the first one went and clogged a little bit the second one, which obviously didn't get a good pour. So I only did 2 this time. But hey, it's part of it. That's why you can do your own, and it's lead, you just remelt it. Now I gotta find that hook. Well, it's probably gone. Whatever, I'll find it later. One of the best things to have when you're working with lead is a good pair of flush cutters. And again, whenever you pour lead, if you've ever done it, that pour spout has a funnel, and what you got to do is you got to get that out. So what I'm talking about is that pour spout there. You can take your pair of flush cutters, trim it off, and now you have a Ned Rig. Then you just get some kind of rhythm going, and you just keep pouring. Alright guys, so I got about 2 dozen poured so far, and I have done 3 32nd and 5 32nd. I personally like the 3 32nd a lot, and so now I'm just going to do a run of all 1/8, and once you get in the groove, it kind of looks like this. So hooks loaded, pour. I usually wait about 2-3 seconds, open it, pry it out. reload, and then you just kind of get in this groove. Small hooks, so when you have the jig in the mold, let's get this up here. When you have the jig in the mold and it's set in there, if you can see that jig head, how there's no collar down there. So if I grab this hook, I'm gonna bend the hook, and that the lead is holding only to the 90 of the jig head, and you're gonna loosen that foundation. So what I'm doing is grabbing the spout, because I'm gonna cut it off and throw it away anyways, and so that it doesn't damage the integrity, lets that lead really set in. Believe me, I've messed up a lot of jigs and had a lot of loose heads until I figured this part out. So what a lot of people will say is, you have to let it kind of sit like about 10 seconds or so. But, really, who really has time to wait? No one does. So I learned how to, I should say, cheat the system. So I'm doing this little batch of 1/8 right here, and then we'll move up to cleaning. And so cleaning is what I was showing you earlier, where you have to cut that spout off anyways. And that's where these nice little flush cutters work extremely well. This is one of those things where you're either rigging in the boat or you're fishing, and it's the same thing that you would be thinking when you're like, I'm out of tackle, gotta go to the tackle shop. So I just come to my garage and make it. And that's kind of the story behind Sweatshop Baits, and me and Randy and Alan, we thought the same thing, just why don't we just do it ourselves and technically sweat it out in the garage and just do them. And so we just started painting baits. We started molding hooks, jigs. Yeah, and just kind of doing it ourselves, I guess you would say. So I am done with 1/8. I don't think I need that many. I do use the small one a lot, especially in the springtime. So I'm going to do a little selfish mass pour of the smaller size. I mean, we're probably almost 4 dozen into it right now. Good amount. Alright, so we got a pretty good pile going of the small one. I mean, I'm just trying to see how many hooks I have left. I'm just going to pour this entire box of hooks. 6. Alrighty. So when I trim them out, I like to just get a little cup and trim them all out into the cup. So all I'm doing here is just taking, you see that this is the pour spout. That's where the needle went in and poured, and then you have this right here, and all I'm doing is cutting this part off, so you're left with a clean jig. Then you run into ones like that. See that? I don't like that one. So what I'm going to do is redo it. So just take it like this, And I like to drop the hook. Now, if I remember right, that one was a big one, so I'm just going to redo it. Hot hook, but so whenever you have a mess up with lead, what's nice is that you're able to come back and fix it if you have to. And there you go. It's all fixed. Now I just take my big thing of this and put them back in the pot, let them melt, and then after I get them back in the pot and melted, all I do is just turn it off. Couple of things that some guys do, some guys don't do is empty out your pot. I leave everything in the pot and let it completely harden over and be solid. My opinion is now it's encapsulated inside of there. All of the dirt has settled to the top, away from clogging my spout, and I'm okay for next time. Now, when I go to reheat next time, if I have a bunch of like lead ingots, it's a lot harder and takes a lot longer to melt that lead ingot when there's a lot of air surface around it. But when it's encapsulated in here, that furnace comes on, boom, it just literally will engulf this entire thing with heat, and it gets to pouring temperature a lot faster. So I leave everything alone. I didn't even touch anything. I'll take all this excess that kind of fell off or whatever, throw it back in there to be recycled. And yeah, so I mean, here we have just a handful of ready Ned Rigs. Alright guys, I know that was a quick video. Thank you very much for following me on here. This is TJ with Solo Hunt Fish. Today we're talking about fishing lures and boring jigs, so I appreciate you guys hanging with me, and stay tuned for another episode. Thanks guys, appreciate it. Have a great day.